Today I'm making peppermint patties. I am Grammy and welcome to my kitchen. But there's a problem, and you will see what I'm talking about. For this recipe, it's very simple. You take 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, 1 1/4 teaspoons of peppermint extract, and 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla. Now you could probably leave the vanilla out, I find, after the fact. And after you get those ingredients into your mixer, you're going to add powdered sugar. And this is part of the problem. For this recipe, it called for 5 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. And I think it could have used a little bit more, because this dough didn't stay in its shape. It wanted to move like silly putty. If you know silly putty, it kind of moves out over time. It fills whatever space there is. And this is the same thing with this particular dough. So after you get everything mixed, I would suggest adding additional powdered sugar to get the consistency of the dough thicker. I did my best, and I will definitely try this again, but I will do it with a little more powdered sugar. I tried kneading more powdered sugar into it, and I should have let my mixer do that. So I would suggest adding at least 6 3/4 cups of powdered sugar to 1 can of the evaporated milk. And for my mold, I used a small little ounce size measuring cup. It had a nice size when I first did them, but they like I said, they grew over time. And once you get your shapes cut, you put them on a parchment sheet, on a baking sheet, and then you need to put them into the freezer. I put mine in the freezer for 2 hours and thought that would be enough time. It was not. Put your peppermint patties in the freezer overnight. So this is something you need to do ahead of time if you want to have them for a specific date. And then after you have them frozen, melt some chocolate chips. I put a bag of chocolate chips in a measuring cup and melted them in the microwave. And I have this warning: never use a rack. Do not put your peppermint patties on a rack where you think that the chocolate will drip out into the pan below and they won't be thick chocolate on them, because that's not what happens. And this is the other reason why I know that my the doughy filling had a problem, because they just kept expanding. With the heat of the chocolate, it just made them expand even more. So they just kept growing. And they kept moving. And so let's think about that. Movement on a wire rack. Yeah, I will show you exactly what happened in just a few moments. So I did run out of rack space, thank heaven, and I put some on parchment paper. And those turned out much better than the rack ones did, because they didn't have the problem of the chocolate and the peppermint patty filling to slowly go through the rack and adhere themselves. So here I am, popping out each little square of peppermint patty, trying to save these so that the person that wanted these in my family would not be disappointed. And it took me a bit of time, but it's kind of like that toy the kids like to play with, where you're popping the little plastic pieces and they pop out their little holes, and then you can just keep doing that. Believe me, it was an absolute peppermint patty nightmare. And they didn't turn out pretty. But here's Papa.
All right, here we go. This is some, we call it Peppermint Patty. It tastes really peppermint. Good chocolate. I like it. It's good. You should have some. Don't forget to subscribe.
But don't